Are you ready to discover how to help your child, even if they seem completely out of control? I'm Julie Nixon, mom to 3 boys who have sensory needs, and I'm a daughter to an occupational therapist assistant. So I totally hit the jackpot when it came to grandmas for my kids. In the quiz, you identified your child as struggling with aggression or proprioceptive issues. I'm going to share a tip with you that you can do today to start seeing immediate improvement. Before I do, I want to thank you for taking the time to share your family situation with me. The free PDF you requested is headed to your inbox in about 10 minutes. While you wait, let me share the best sensory activity you can do for your child's sensory needs. I know what it's like to have a child who is a sensory seeker. Wild and rough, constant wrestling and crashing, unusual reactions to pain, clumsy and poor coordination. I was tempted to put everyone in football pads. I didn't realize it at the time, but the brain plays a key role in kids' constant need for sensory input. The brain is constantly getting input from all sorts of sensory systems, like the skin, the mouth, the inner ear, and it has to decide if those sensations deserve attention or if they should be ignored. If your child is a seeker, they are under-responsive to certain sensory input, and it just gets lost in the shuffle. But the brain needs that sensory input, so your child is driven to seek it out. One sense is often overlooked: proprioception. What is proprioception? Proprioception is the input that is received from the joints and the ligaments of the body. It creates body awareness, and it thrives on weight and heavy work. Common proprioceptive activities include jumping, climbing, pushing, pulling, weighted blankets, and big hugs. Everyone, regardless of sensory need, craves this proprioceptive input. And when we get it, it's like our brain can handle whatever life throws at it, including other sensory input. You're actually pretty lucky. Proprioception is the #1 sensory activity I recommend regardless of sensory need. Proprioception is the king of the senses, and it helps the brain regulate all the other senses. Don't be surprised if your child's other sensory needs improve as you get them that sensory input. So when you're looking for sensory activities, start with the proprioceptive ones. Do sensory activities every single day. You'll be shocked at the difference that consistent proprioceptive input can play in your child's sensory issues. Now you can take this tip and start seeing results right away. But I also know, as a fellow sensory parent, that it is hard to figure out what's a sensory issue and what's just a behavior problem. I know that sensory needs seem to always be changing and inconsistent. Sensory processing is complicated. It's not black and white, and it's hard to know who to turn to for help. And that's why I created the Newbie's Guide to Sensory Processing. This guidebook has 6 chapters and multiple handy printables covering what the symptoms of sensory processing disorder are and when to be concerned and what's just kid stuff, what sensory processing really is and why it's making your child's life so difficult, why your child's behavior seems to always be changing, and the #1 misconception I see among sensory parents. Also, the lowdown on sensory activities, why they work, which ones to do, and an organized list of ideas. It also covers the pros and cons of getting an official diagnosis. I have one son that is diagnosed and one that we haven't gone that route with. Lastly, I share with you how to get medical professionals to take you seriously and get started on the journey of partnering with them to help your child thrive. Look, I've been in your shoes before, knowing my kid needed help, but not knowing where to turn or how to get started. I've been placed on outrageously long waiting lists. I've had insurances deny treatment. And even when we were getting professional help, no one took the time to explain sensory processing to me as the parent, even though I'm the one that spends the most time with my kids and can potentially have the biggest impact on their daily struggles. This ebook will take you only about an hour to read, but by the end, you'll have taken an important first step in educating yourself to meet your child's sensory needs. You'll walk away with understanding, direction, and hope. Well, it'd be wonderful if we as parents could afford the time and the money it takes to go to occupational therapy school. That's just not practical for most of us. The good news is you don't have to spend years and thousands of dollars to discover what sensory processing is and how it's affecting your child daily. If you were to go to my website right now, you'd see this guide being sold for $25. But today only, as a thank you for you sharing a little bit of your family situation with me, you can get the Newbie's Guide to Sensory Processing for only $9. To grab this deal, simply click on the secure checkout button below, fill in your billing information, and you'll get instant access to the Newbie's Guide to Sensory Processing. No matter what, I am cheering you on. I can't wait to hear how things start to click the more you learn about sensory processing.